Hello students, this is our contemporary political economy lecture. The lecture is on non-governmental organization, right? In our most recent lecture we have discussed transnational corporations, and in this section we have already discussed globalization and World Trade Organization, if you remember, from GATT to WTO, then IMF and World Bank and so on and so forth in our regular classes. Okay, so in this particular video we are going to discuss the role of NGO, the various aspects of non-governmental organization, and I will call it NGO throughout the lecture. So first of all, if we begin what do we mean by NGO, then we can say that an NGO is any non-profit or voluntary citizen groups, okay, which is organized on local, national or international level. This is one aspect. See, it is always task oriented and is always driven by the people with common interests, right? Maybe someone wants to do some social work, or someone is related to grassroots activities, someone wants to do educational stuff and so on and so forth. Someone want to make just people aware about certain rights, their duties and government policies. So NGO is horizontally and vertically divided into various this thing according to various work of their which they choose through their own structure and all these things. Now NGO also performs variety of functions, variety of services it do, from beginning from humanitarian to say citizen concerns towards government or government policies towards citizens. So it makes citizens always more aware, and it works among the citizen. Okay. It also engage itself in say specific issues, for example human rights if it is international NGO, environmental concern, local, global or regional NGO or national NGO, okay, health issues, again 3 layers obviously, local, national and international level. So all these aspects are being covered by these non-governmental organizations. So it has variety of functions to do, and we have seen the role of non-governmental organizations in our day-to-day life is very prominent, and it has become a kind of inevitable truth nowadays, because we have seen so many NGOs working in the field of say poverty or hunger, say for example unemployment, or making public policy work at the ground or at grassroots level, or among the poor and so on and so forth. So we have seen various types of NGOs working in India, and we know various international NGOs, for example Amnesty International works for human rights and so on and so forth. Now what is the definition of World Bank? I am just reading it out. World Bank defines NGO as a private organizations that pursue activities to relieve suffering, number 1, promote the interest of the poor, number 2, protect the environment, number 3, provide basic social service, number 4, or undertake community development. So this is the broad definition given by the World Bank. So the United Nations also has a definition for NGO. It says that NGO is any non-profit organization which is based on voluntary citizens group, which is organized on local, national and international level. It is always task oriented and driven by people with the common interest. Okay. And it performs various services and humanitarian functions related to health, social services, environment, or any natural calamity, to make people aware about humanitarian activities by United Nations, and if it is national, then national government, and so on and so forth. So its aim is to serve people and to think about humanity and work humanitarian activities. This is its basic functions. Now, if we discuss what an NGO is, no, how we call some institution or some organization as NGO. So there are certain parameters to call something as NGO. Number one is a non-profit making, voluntary, self-servicing, service-oriented, and the organization which works for others is known as NGO. Number one. Number two, it is always the organization of private individuals who believe in certain basic social principles and who structure their activities to bring about development to communities that they are serving. Suppose if someone is working for the tribal communities, it will have common goal, common objective. Somebody is working for women's cause, it will have again many people will have a same concern for the development of women. Or if someone is working for the downtrodden section of the society, so they will have their orientation very clear. So this particular definition talks about this aspect of people associated themselves with NGO. Number three is social development organizations assisting in empowerment of people is known as or are known as NGOs. Next is an organization, an NGO as an organization or group of people working independent of any external control with a specific objective and aim to fulfill tasks that are oriented to bring about desirable change in a given community or area or situation. This is another aspect of NGO. Now, next is an independent, democratic, non-sectarian people's organization working for the empowerment of economic and or socially marginalized people of the society. This is next point. Now, NGO again is an organization not affiliated to political parties, generally engaged in working for aid, development and welfare of the community or people or society. Okay. Now, next is any organization that is flexible, democratic in its nature and orientation, and attempts to serve the people without considering about profit for itself. So non-governmental organization should always be non-profit organization and it should serve the people. Okay, so these are the common characteristics of any NGO, whether it is local or national or international. Now see, if we go slightly further about discussing this NGO, then we can discuss the types of NGO. How many types of NGO do we have in a society? See, we can say that there are certain types. Number one, charitable orientation of NGO. Generally, charitable orientation involves a top-down effort with little participants by the beneficiaries. It includes NGOs with activities like food, clothing, housing of needy. Such NGO may also do or can undertake relief work during natural calamities or some other disaster. Okay, so these NGOs are always ready to work for the welfare of the society. Now, if we see the charitable orientation, So there are certain types of charitable orientation. Number one is service orientation. Number two, participatory orientation. Number three, empowering orientation. Number four, these three types of orientation it has. Service orientation clearly means those who work in the field of, say, health, family planning, education sector, or say various public policies introduced by the state, and to smoothly implement it in those areas. So this such type of NGOs are service oriented. Okay. Next is participatory orientation. Now, generally these NGOs took active part in various local people's organizational activities. For example, self-help projects, okay, where they mobilize people, or they try to teach people to implement certain projects by contributing cash to them, or providing tools to them, for example machines or some other small element to have their own local business, and so on and so forth. They also provide material to them to have something concrete in their hands for their small scale work, to have small scale business, to earn some money for their family, and so on and so forth. So these are participatory NGOs who believe in active participation with those people where they want the actual result by engaging those people in these developmental activities, whether it is education or self-help group, or to provide them money or cash, or machine, and so on and so forth, which we just discussed. Now, empowering orientation means these NGOs generally empower citizens or empower people to do something. Okay, it generally provide training to the people in various arenas. They also do social, political, and economic work among these people. Why? Because these areas affect their lives. So they try to empower them politically, they try to empower them socially, and they try to empower them economically. So these are the areas of such type of organizations which believe in empowerment of people or citizen. It can be gender empowerment, it can be caste related empowerment, it can be tribal empowerment, it can be poverty related empowerment, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, what are the type by level of operation NGO? If we talk about NGO, so generally NGO is number one, community based organization. Okay. For example, sports club, women organization, neighborhood organization, religious or educational institutions, film clubs, say library groups, or some social groups, or any group in your college or of your class is known as community based organization. Why? Because it always work among those communities, and it has a very set target. That if certain community based organization is working among communities, say to promote sports among them, so it will work for sports activities only. Music, then for music only. Empowerment, to make them self-sufficient, then it will work among those communities for empowerment only. So they have very limited function and very set target to achieve. Second is city-wise organization. Now, it includes organizations like Rotary clubs, you might have heard, or Lions Club, okay, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, coalition of business, ethnic or educational groups, or association or community organizations. The, their purpose is not similar, but it varies according to their nature of workplace, their nature of audience, right? So they always, such organization always target their own audience, their own targeted groups, and they work accordingly. Okay, here we can say that these NGOs generally create the specific purpose for helping the poor. Okay, these are their generally common objective. Third is national NGO. Now it includes Red Cross Society, YMCA, okay, YWCA, professional organizations, or any other national organization, national NGO, which you might have came across. They again have targeted audience, they again have specific functions to do, and they strictly follow their manual and work among according to their own manual and guidelines for the betterment of society, or where they are actually working. Now last is international NGO. See, Ford, for example, CARE, CARE, these are known as international NGOs. Some international NGOs are religiously motivated, okay, but these organizations has very limited functions to do. But CARE, Ford, their activities may vary, okay, mainly because these institutions has larger goals, larger projects, and these NGOs do many social, scholarly, research oriented work among various sections of the society. So these are recognized international NGOs. Next is, in this international NGO, we can say that World Bank. World Bank generally differentiates two main categories of NGOs with which it interacts. Number one, operational NGOs, and number two, advocacy NGOs, which are operational NGOs. So operational NGOs has primary purpose of which it is design and implementation of development related projects. Clear? That is why this World Bank need these operational NGOs. Number two, advocacy NGO. The primary purpose of advocacy NGO is to defend or promote a specific cause and influence the policies and practices of international organizations like World Bank. So whatever policy or whatever rules and so on and so forth is introduced by the World Bank, it is the advocacy NGOs which promote the ideas of World Bank in the international arena. So World Bank needs both type of NGOs. These NGOs are not generally people oriented or people centric, but it has generally these such type of NGOs are responsible to World Bank only because they receive fund from World Bank. Okay, so they are responsible for World Bank and not for the people or for the people where they are actually working, right? Now, if we talk about say next point, then what are the characteristics of NGO? See, we have to discuss here WTO, right? What WTO says about say strength of NGO and weakness of NGO. Number one, strength of NGO. Proximity to grassroots level is the most impressive strength of any NGO according to World Bank. Number 2, enthusiasm and inner drive of the members. Second point. Third, creativity and innovation. We always know that NGO always believe in creativity and innovation to convince people, to make people realize what is good for them and what is bad for them, what should they do and what should they not do. Number third, quality of work. The emphasis of NGO is always on quality of their work and not the quantity of their work. Next is speed of work. It means they want to be flexible. They want to have field experience. They want to show field presence. Okay, and they want to complete their project in a time-bound manner. Okay, or they want to achieve their goal in a time-bound manner. So these are the strength of NGO. Now, what are the weaknesses of NGO? The weaknesses of NGOs are, number one, dependence on donors. Because without having money or without having financiers or without having donors, NGO simply cannot work. So whatever the aim is, whatever their intentions are, whatever their areas are, whether they are working for the poor, whether they are working for the gender this thing, or whether they are working for women cause, or among say black people in Western societies or Europe, or tribal communities of any society, or Dalit communities among India, or less developed states or less developed units of any nation, whatever their objective is, without donor, NGO can do nothing. So sometimes it is blamed by various thinkers that NGOs are actually not responsible for the poor or from where they actually work, but they are responsible for their donors. Okay, Neera Chandok writes in her seminal book on civil society. She says that such type of NGOs are always dependent on their donors, and they are responsible for their donors only and not for the people where they claim to work. So where to put all these NGOs? So this is the biggest weakness of NGO. Number two is lack of skilled manpower. This is the biggest weakness of NGO, because in NGO is the skilled manpower is lacking. Okay, and what we see that the technical ability is required in NGO, but we see that there is hardly any technical person. Okay, suppose if any NGO has any project, it always will need technical people. Technical people may include, say, people related to computer or software or hardware, okay, or say anything which is not related to IT. Even for doing field work, they need expert. So here NGO lack manpower, and that is why sometimes their projects are delayed, sometimes their projects are not completed, and sometimes they face various challenges while fulfilling their projects in various areas. Although their intentions may be good, but because of lack of these donors and manpower, their objectives sometimes or many a times did not reach its end, or sometimes it could not deliver the expected. So that is the main weakness again of NGO. Number 3 is limitations with long term and large scale projects. There is always limitation if you have long project and if you have a large scale project. Why? Because NGOs are generally close to grassroots, but they may not be aware about socio-economic scenario of any area, or if it is global NGO, global area, local NGO, local area, national NGO, national area. So this not knowing about the area makes them unsuitable for large scale projects, and there are many NGOs which simply need a researcher, okay, before going into the details of any large scale project. So these are the major challenge an NGO face. Okay. Next is, so if we point wise if we discuss, I have written it, but I cannot show you this what do you call it, slide share. Strength of weakness of NGO by World Bank. So number 1 is strong grassroots link. Number 2, field based development expertise. Number 3, ability to innovate and adapt. Number 4, process oriented approach to development. Number 5, participatory methodologies and tools. Number 6, long term commitment and emphasis on sustainability. And last, cost effectiveness. These are the strength of NGO according to World Bank. Now, common weakness of NGO identified by World Bank. Then limited financial management, okay, limited institutional capacity, low level of self-sustainability, isolation, lack of inner organizational communication or coordination, small scale interventions, and lack of understanding of broader social or economic context, which we just discussed. So these are just summary of what we have just discussed above. Now, if we see, we have found that as far as strength, if we mix both strength and weakness of NGO, what would be the conclusion? Conclusion should be that if NGO is free from political influence, if NGO is free from legal obligations, if NGO is free from high corruption rate, then we can have an ideal NGO. And by discussing this, if we try to develop our own understanding of NGO, then we as an student can identify that what are the strengths. Number 1, strong link with grassroots. Number 2, empirical expertise, which in our lecture we can summarize it, that NGOs always have a strong link with grassroots. Number 2, empirical expertise. Number 3, innovative ability. Number 4, democratic work culture. Number 5, cost effectiveness. And number 6, long term commitment. Is the summary of what we have just discussed. What are the weaknesses of NGO? Lack of experienced manpower. Number 2, limited financial assistance, donor wala stuff. Number 3, focus on short range objectives. Number 4, political influence. Number 5, legal obligations. Number 6, high rate of growth in numbers of NGOs. And last, high corruption rates. Suppose if we minimize these weaknesses, then we will have a good working condition for NGOs, and NGO will start delivering what is expected from them according to their ideas, according to their work field according to their say nature of work and so on and so forth. So we have to work on the weakness of NGO and to completely eradicate it to have a more inclusive and more democratic society. Okay, so this is all about our chapter discussion on NGO, and our next topic would be on, say, if I'm not wrong, environmental concern. Yes, big dams and environmental concern. So maybe tomorrow I'll upload it. Okay, stay healthy, stay safe, and study and work hard. Thank you very much.